Hello, good evening. Nice to be here with you this evening, and welcome to Dublin. And tonight, it's a little bit different Monday Magic tonight because I'm going to be reading a little bit of my book, the chapter I wrote in the book, and I'm going to be speaking about the power of kindness, which is something that has really come through to me recently in my oracle cards set. So let's say welcome along here to Dublin. And I suppose I'm going to start the evening by saying that it's quite astonishing how life has plans for us. And sometimes they're challenging, sometimes they're fantastic. I know for sure the people that are flexible definitely have the best lives. And I teach that all the time in my work. So perhaps I'm a little nervous this evening if I'm going to read a part of this book, but I just feel that its time has come in many ways and that I'll be able to share this recording with people who will need it. So I suppose what's been on my mind is just a month ago, I could never have envisaged that I would now have this lovely creativity space right at the top of our house. And my story will kind of go around this evening. I really could not have envisaged it. When we get up the 4 flights of stairs to where I am here, and, those who know me well will know that our house is very often very challenged. And so I'm trying to really make the most of it and live in it and enjoy it to the full. But when we get up the 4 flights of stairs to where I am here, there are 3 more steps up to the little creativity space. And in fact, I touch wood when I say this, many years ago, I slipped down those 3 steps and broke my ankle very badly. But that's another story, but it was quite a challenge at the time. So while I've been moving things and dusting and cleaning, I actually strained a muscle in my back, which slowed me right down. And I had to I was very frustrated because I had, made the decision to get the place all organized and I had to reach out for a bit of help. So I asked Philip and the 2 girls, Sophie and Rachel, to give me an hour or 2 each to help me out. And it was very interesting because this time we spent together, which was totally unplanned, resulted in some very interesting conversations. And these conversations are priceless, really. And they would never have happened if I hadn't been slowed right down because I've been busy recently, I suppose. So sometimes in life, it's nice to look back as we're moving forward, and perhaps even move forward in a new direction. And as I dusted the bookshelves and I was organizing all my space here, I noticed this book that I will share this evening that I had co-authored. And in many ways, because I, as a person, am so forward focused, I'd almost forgotten about this book. It was there in my mind. I'm really glad I wrote the chapter. But participating in this book was actually my 60th birthday present to myself because I had to pay to be involved in it, for the instruction and the coaching and everything like that. And I suppose participating in it proved to me that I can gather my thoughts on paper. And we made bestseller on Amazon and also, bestseller on the Irish Times list, which was kind of the goal of the mentor. So I have to think of a new plan for this chapter, which was a labour of love. But before I do, I've decided I'm going to read parts of it each week for the next few weeks here and link it in with one of my life design topics. The book did fulfill its goal and it raised quite a lot of money for charity. So I'm going to read a bit of the book now and I hope you'll enjoy it. And in many ways, it's really about how LifeDesign has been part of my life for a very long time, and how effective it has been in leading me along the way. So I hope you'll bear with me now because this is a new experience for me. So the chapter is called Design Your Destiny, and I'm here for those who haven't seen it. So I'll start my chapter by reading now. Design Your Destiny. So do you believe in destiny? In miracles, even in magic? Well, I do. I've had too many examples of these over the years to ignore them. I've also experienced moments of true destiny, So do you believe in destiny and miracles, even magic? You know when you're there, it's a certain feeling of synchronicity, of all being well in your world and kind of meant to be. On turning 60, one of my wishes was to be an author, hence my involvement in writing this book with a wonderful group of women. And like so many other things in my life, I found a way to make it happen, even when it seemed impossible. I set an intention. It took a year to get the funds together. It actually felt like I'd waved a magic wand when it did come together. I have felt this feeling of magical synchronicity many times myself, but also when rearing my family or working with others. It is only in recent times that I've discovered that I'm what's known as a HSP, a highly sensitive person, and this explains so much. Since childhood, all my senses have been heightened. I can feel other people's emotions and energy and kind of read their thoughts. I've had to find ways to manage my highly sensitive nature, as negative situations can be overwhelming and people's words can hurt me very deeply. I recognise this since early childhood. I only understand it from my work with a wonderful healer just a couple of years ago. On the other hand, this sensitivity can be a superpower too, allowing me to have great insight in situations and more recently, helping people to understand what they really want, love and enjoy in life. Life's compensations. I understand now I received compensations to help me deal with this extreme sensitivity. Firstly, my creativity, flair for colour, and talent for designing and making things. Secondly, my ability to ideate and come up with a wealth of ideas. Thirdly, my wonderful zest for life, a powerful wish to live life to the full and on my terms through different life situations. A further compensation is that I met the love of my life, Philip, at 19, and he has walked life's journey with me for over 40 years now, through ups and downs and amazing moments too. My life experience and recent studies have resulted in the creation of LifeDesign, a process that I was given the seeds of as a child, and that I've nurtured, developed, and used repeatedly for myself and others. I now know that life design is the main life skill that has helped me to survive and thrive in life. And I've used it to rear my family, build our relationship, and help many other people along the way too. I've now found a way to teach life design and to teach other people how to teach it too and to use it with their clients. Anyone can use it if they wish, to design aspects of their life to make life better for themselves in all kinds of ways. Life design can help us to get out of tricky life situations and create solutions. It can also help us to get what we really want and need in life, rather than settling for what life throws at us. It helps us design occasions and even moments and can make the mundane more interesting and life more enjoyable in all kinds of ways. When the time is right, it can help us make our difference in the world. The journey on. We arrive in this world landing with parents and perhaps siblings. They say we choose our family. I'm sure many would disagree. I've been truly lucky with mine. Depending on our culture, we humans have to fit into all kinds of traditions, reach milestones, and fulfill many expectations of family and society. To be different in life or regarded as different, whether by your sensitivity, the colour of your skin, your culture, your sexuality, your life circumstances, your level of ability, or the size of your body, can be a lifelong challenge. I've always been different, and this has given me a huge understanding of human nature. From kindness to cruelty and back to kindness. In my experience, it takes courage and creativity and hope to survive and thrive. This is where life design has really helped me personally. As a parent, I believe that children need to learn life skills beyond what's taught in normal family life and in school. The needs of a shy child or an outgoing child or a sensitive child are completely different. I would suggest that the greatest gift we can give our children is to teach them to be aware of their own needs and to find ways to fulfill these that are positive and affirming. Otherwise, they may not be equipped with the skills they need to deal with everything from an impatient teacher to the challenges of the playground to learning difficulties they may encounter, almost inevitable bullying, and even little disappointments along the way. Some of these childhood experiences are the root of many adult woes. Even the youngest children can be taught basic life design skills. If a child has a problem, if they learn to dig deep creatively, they will often have the solution. In fact, in my own experience of mothering, if you sit down with even a young child experiencing a problem and ask gentle questions, they will often have the solution too. And this is really empowering for them. When you work out solutions together and make a little plan, it's a lovely addition to the bond of love and trust you share that can go on into the teenage years. Sometimes I dream of a country that understands human needs and ensures they are fulfilled for most of their citizens, whatever their age or difference, and there are countries that we can take examples from. I wish for a country where life skills are as important as learning to read and write. Bad life skills. We often learn life skills from family members. You might be a great baker as you watched your mother or grandmother break bread. You might be good at carpentry or do-it-yourself work because you followed your father around the house. You might love gardening because you watched someone plant flower or vegetable seeds as I did. My ability to knit came from a teacher who loved knitting, but I now know for sure that it's possible to learn life skills at every age and every stage in life. And it's wonderful to see that many primary schools now have school gardens where children can experience the cycle of the seasons and see where food actually comes from. As many what I call life design stories to tell, but I'll start with one when I was 15. I just knew there was more to life than kind of hanging around with friends. I really liked people and wanted to find a way to earn money and help people. I'd been doing this since childhood. I had babysitting jobs I really enjoyed, but I wanted more. I remember going around the town where I lived on my bike, looking at all different shops and businesses, from clothes shops to knitting shops to chippers to butchers and bakers, wondering how could I make life more interesting? Could I get a job? I was quite young to get a job at that stage in Ireland. I was literally drawn to a pharmacy. The bell rang as I went in the door. It was dark and had a mixture of smell. A lady in a white coat came out from the back and stood behind the counter. I told her my name and said that I was looking for a Saturday job. She took off her glasses and smiled at me and asked me my age. She smiled at me again and said that she could do with an assistant to dust the display cabinets and to give her a general helping hand. Spotting my bike, she said, you could also deliver parcels to our older or very sick customers. I remember being delighted. I'd done it. I'd got a job. I'd turned an idea into something great. It was a real sense of achievement. I knew this job would bring me freedom. What I didn't realise was that I'd signed up for an apprenticeship of sorts that lasted for 10 years of Saturdays and school holidays. And I learned a huge amount of medical information and people skills that would be so useful at a later stage in life. I quickly learned the personalities, family situations, problems and woes of many of the customers. I could often offer them solutions. From time to time, I noticed the owner of the pharmacy smiling as I offered a suggestion beyond my years and certainly beyond the norm. Sometimes these suggestions seemed to come into my head from some other source. Eventually, a few customers used to ask for me on Saturdays to have a chat. I found myself advising on makeup shades and lipstick colours before I had even started wearing them myself. I later found myself listening to stories and being told things in confidence. I realised quickly that the height of the counter came right up to here because I was young. It protected me from taking on their sadness or troubles. I thought everyone needed this protection, and that's why the counter in the pharmacy was so high. Those 10 years taught me so much. The owner of the pharmacy was a medical doctor, and she just loved imparting knowledge to me. She told me stories about being a female doctor when there were few, of delivering babies in the tenements in Dublin where the poorest people lived, of the importance of treating everyone as equals. She told me stories of working in London, of knowing our values, and the importance of family loyalty. She taught me the names and uses of medicines that I still use today. She showed me how to spot infections, dress wounds, and to find ways to help those less well off. I learned skills in this little job that have helped me so much in life. The doctor I worked with also sowed seeds in my mind of all that was possible, and I'm very grateful for this. Our teachers can come into our lives in all different ways. My mother told me recently that it was the doctor's wish that I take over her business, but that was not my destiny. From time to time, it's nice to think about ourselves and where we are now in life, as reviewing the skills we have can often help us identify gaps, which can then be filled through education, whether watching videos on the topic or taking a course online or offline. Are there dreams you have and wishes to be fulfilled in your life? It could be finding love or a dream job, or having a longed-for baby, or a more comfortable place to live, or even setting up a business that would bring you more income and therefore more possibilities. These might be things that you haven't got around to yet for all kinds of reasons. If so, do make a note of them, because acknowledging these and writing them down is like writing a wish list or placing an order with the universe. Keep going and add more if you wish. Keep adding them in a notebook maybe, and you may be surprised that at least one of them might feel even a little bit more achievable when I tell you more life design stories. Oh, zest for life. Jumping ahead, when I left school having failed mathematics, I could not study pharmacy as I'd hoped. In fact, the doors of banks, insurance companies, and other employers were closed to me too. I worked for many years in a company where I felt bullied and feared my personality and creativity might be snuffed out. So I began to demonstrate my organisational skills and colour skills, and they quickly picked up on them and began to use them. I found myself really interested in colour and interiors and found ways to study these when they were not available here in Ireland. We're talking 1979. I was always finding solutions for myself and for others. As I mentioned earlier, my deep sensitivity allowed me to be really empathetic to their needs. I lived with my eyes wide open. I loved meeting people from other countries and learning about their cultures. My father travelled the world and he would bring back all kinds of tales and send me a postcard from every destination, which opened my mind to the world way beyond the 1970s Ireland. He also invited people of many nationalities to visit us. I used my ideation skills to live all kinds of experiences. By the time I was 19, I'd been on several foreign holidays. My mind was full of hopes and dreams and wishes for myself, but for others and even society too. It's like I could always see a bigger picture. Different life experiences, people I met through my parents, houses I visited, places I went, fueled by imagination for what was possible in life. I knew at an early stage I didn't like the pub culture here in Ireland and wondered how would I ever find a partner who had the same values, vision and energy as I had and would match my zest for life. Life design manifestation. This is the last little chapter I'll read for tonight. I had a way of making things happen, like a personal manifestation skill, though I knew nothing of such skills. My mum often referred to it as luck. I would think up what for some people might be a crazy idea, certainly in the 1970s and 80s. I might figure it out in my head and in my dreams. For something bigger and more complicated, I'd write it down and surround it with notes, ideas, possibilities, perhaps people's names, things I would have to do to make it happen. I preferred to do this in colour. Then I would find a starting point and put all the pieces together like a jigsaw puzzle, until what I wished for materialised, like magic. I didn't know this way of creating things was pretty unique to me. It was an early version of what I now call life design. In more recent years, when the going was tough, I thought I'd lost my magic touch. But looking back, I realised that life design has always seen me through. So that's about a third of my little chat. So I hope to continue reading it in the weeks to come. And as I say, linking them in with the life design topic of the moment, if you like. Okay. So the topic that feels very important to me from a life design perspective at the moment is kindness. When I worked in that pharmacy all those years ago, I experienced ultimate kindness. The doctor had come back from the UK to take over her father's business. Sometimes I think she was lonely. She had tasted life beyond 1970s Dublin. Most of her contemporaries were married, and me and my bubbly personality were good company for her. I returned her kindness in many ways. Together we were very kind to customers of all ages and circumstances. It was a win-win type of kindness. Please don't get me wrong, my family were extremely kind too, but in many ways my character was just too much for them. When I think of the doctor, I feel so much that her kindness has lived on with me. So many times people focus on the problems or bad experiences in the past because they've been etched in their memory from repeatedly replaying them. I made a choice when I was working with my healer and friend Artie, and this was my own choice, to put such memories in a series of boxes in shelves in my mind. This freed my mind up so much. Like the boxes on my shelves here beside me that I've been sorting as I move them into my new creativity space. I'm laughing, and the ones in my mind are labelled, and in fact the ones I just showed you one. I collect these boxes, from different products, and I put these labels on. I have them all stacked here. And I know that I have boxes in my mind that stores all kind of memories as well. And by storing them there, as opposed to having them in my mind all the time, it just frees me up to do anything I really want to do. But I laugh at the boxing. And it's really funny because moving them around and everything has kind of stirred them around a little bit. And certainly with the other book that I'm writing, it's interesting that I've made peace with many of the stories in the boxes in my mind. And I could peep in and have a look at them. And actually, I don't feel hurt or disturbed by them anymore. But when I was reading some of the early chapters of the book I'm writing at the moment too, because the kids were fascinated that I was writing and Philip too. And I just read one little story for each of them. And they were absolutely shocked at the unkindnesses that I had suffered. So in many ways, I really realised now that life design helped me to rise above all of that. So moving some of the boxes from here to my new creativity space stirred up my mind for some reason. And I found myself feeling extremely lucky to have enjoyed life so much despite certain incidents. Because when I say this from my heart, because of life design, I always had this superpower, and it really is a very, very powerful life skill. The one big memory that was stirred up, and I may have mentioned it here before, was when I spent a year at it's called a PLC art college, kind of a pre-art college, studying 10 subjects connecting with art. I actually went there when life had gone very, very wrong on us, and I just felt I wanted to go somewhere and focus on something good. And I was studying, as I say, 10 subjects connected with art, and I loved it. And I did extremely well, 10 distinctions. And then I was turned down for art college. And that out of the 60 students, I was the only one refused a place. So I changed my plans using life design, and I went on to study entrepreneurship. And it was a great experience. And I packed away all my art equipment and never painted or took out a pencil or really did any crafts again. So that's about 11 years ago. So when I was moving all my things in order to let out part of our house, many of my artistic things went in the attic, my supplies, all of that kind of thing. And I put lots of my portfolio work in the bin. And the pieces that I've created linked with motherhood, Philip, my husband, just refused to dispose of them. He put them carefully packed in the attic. For me, my art dream was over. And all of this had happened at a very fragile time in my life, around the global recession, when our home was on the line and we were absolutely broke. Anyway, as I moved my things to the new atelier, as I call it now, Celtic Queen Lizzie's atelier, I had a strange experience. I just had this feeling that I didn't deserve this space. I was a failed artist, and I felt a huge pressure that if I took it over, that I would be expected to produce art. And I'd failed at that before. I experienced so much kindness as Philip and the girls helped me to move and organise things in that little room in the last week or so, and there's still more to do. But Philip asked me up a ladder one day, he was standing up a ladder, is it time to take your art back down from the attic, Liz? And to be honest with you, I really didn't know what pieces he'd held on to and what he had disposed of. I'd kind of forgotten about it really. But as we unpacked it, I thought, oh my goodness, perhaps some of this art is okay after all. They were created in 2010. So in a way, they've become precious treasures because time has moved on. And if it were not for Philip's kindness, they would be gone to the dump. 3 of the pieces have a poem I wrote for each of the children hidden within them, and another has a poem I'd written on motherhood as part of it. Anyway, they all surround me now when I'm sitting in my little atelier, and I even bought cheap IKEA frames which give them more dignity in some way. I found another piece of art too, which I'll share with you in the future. So this past week with my sore back, I've been surrounded in kindness, old and new. So for me, it has become a month of kindness. As I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, so many people focus on what they've given up. My focus is all that we can do that's positive and of course kind for ourselves and for others. Kind in how we show up for ourselves and what we're passionate about. Kind when we rest when we must and review things with kindness. Kind when we speak to and even think of others. I got myself into a fuss about something and I wasn't thinking the kindness thoughts about a certain situation, but I've flipped that now. And if you do decide to change a habit, approach it from a place of self-kindness and it'll have twice the benefit. And I promise you that. So now for our oracle cards of the evening, these are slightly different all the time. And now I reach for my own little tin. These are the set of oracle cards that I'm creating. And sometimes it takes 2 weeks for one to come through to me. And sometimes it takes 1 week, but this one took 2 weeks. So it's on the topic of kindness. Kindness in thoughts, words and deeds is a wonderful human attribute. And its opposite is too prevalent in the modern world, where evil thoughts, words and actions are rife, and avoiding them has become a way of living for some, especially the more vulnerable. Vulnerability can be for many different reasons. It can be circumstances, location, a way of being in this world of warped values, stigma and judgment. Kindness is the antidote. It is available to all humans as an attribute, and using it is merely a choice. Watch out for it. Be aware of kindness. It's like gratitude. It is the nourishment to help good things grow and overshadow evil. Share kindness, kind stories, kind actions, kind thoughts about others. Make this your way. Show yourself kindness, as when we function from this place of self-nurture, we're empowered to take up space and take our place in the world, building the influence of kindness in our family, friendships, relationships and community. Be kind to people, to animals, to nature, to the environment, and make this world a better place for all. So that's a message that came through to me over the last 2 weeks, and I'm really rather fond of it myself. So, as we finish up for this evening, I hope in the week ahead you will find ways to sprinkle kindness, and I hope you're a magnet for kindness yourself. May you come across kind people. So, in the meantime, between now and I see you again, be kind, especially to yourself. I think I take out my Queen Lizzie crown tonight. Sometimes she's very shy, but I feel a huge influence of her in what I've been teaching this evening. So I'll put on my crown and I'll take my magic wand and I will wish the very, very best for you, everybody who is just being here this evening. And thank you so much for being with me, and I wish the very best. Bye now. Good week.
Thank you so much for spending this time with us and for listening to LifeDesign Monday Magic. We are honoured and humbled to be able to share Liz's words, wisdom and life design philosophy with you. If you enjoyed this episode, we'd love for you to subscribe so you never miss a new one. And if you could take a moment to rate and review the podcast, it would help us share her message with even more people. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with another inspirational Life Design Monday Magic filled with more of Liz's wisdom, warmth and encouragement to help you live your best life despite. We'll talk to you again soon, and in the meantime, take care. And as Liz would say, do focus on all that's good. Good luck.